Startup CEO funding scams. You've been trying to raise money for months and nothing is working. And now you're frustrated and don't know what to do. Then, out of the blue, someone reaches out to you. They say they'll fund your startup. However, the deal feels too good to be true, but you're desperate. So you go ahead and make the deal. The deal falls through and you're out a bunch of money and time. That's what today's video is all about. In today's video, I will share with you the 8 most common startup funding scams designed to take advantage of founders like you. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. Each of these scams are either ones that I saw personally or ones that someone I worked with experienced. I am sure it will be clear to you that, sadly, there are a lot of people ready to exploit you at a vulnerable time. So let's start with number 1 on my list. Number 1, the will raise your funding for you consultant. If you haven't seen this scam yet, you probably will. The pitch to you is, we'll introduce you to investors for a small fee and percentage ownership in your startup. It sounds reasonable enough, doesn't it? When I was approached with this scam, we'd been raising money for close to 1 year. We'd had lots of investors pass at that point, so I felt like I was traveling in the desert without water. Then someone magically appears ready to solve your problem. It's so appealing. I needed more investors to talk to, and then someone gives me the magic answer. What more could you ask for? There are 2 problems with this proposal. First, remember, not all investors are created equally. So it's highly likely the investors the consultant knows are not likely in the investors that will invest in your startup. Second, investors, especially US-based investors, hate with a passion brokers. Right or wrong, investors believe that you should be able to find a way to get in touch via a warm introduction or cold email with a prospective investor without a broker's help. Now, let's move to number 2 on our list. Number 2, the fake investor asking for a diligence deposit. This is another classic scam. You reach out to what you think is a legitimate investor. They ask you to fill out an application about your company. The questions, such as what is your revenue plan, seem like normal investor questions. You feel comfortable as you answer the final question. How much money are you raising? You send in your application. Then, a few days later, you get a response such as, my partners and I have unanimously agreed to fund your company. You're ecstatic. Then you read the final lines of the email. It says, your company shall pay an investment application processing fee of $6,000 to cover administrative, legal, and compliance costs associated with the investment application. But you've been raising money for a long time, so you're not worried, and you pay the money. My point is, you should be worried. You should never, ever pay a fee to an investor for anything before the deal closes and the money is in the bank. For reference, it's typical that you pay the investor's attorney's fees. However, this is done post-funding. Now, let's move to number 3 on the list. Number 3, the free accelerator. Accelerators can be great. You get mentorship, training, and access to investors. The scam here is subtle. It's free, but we want you to sign up for the following services, such as using this email provider, this CRM service, etc. Now you've paid thousands of dollars for these services. The accelerator has made money on the affiliate fees they receive. The worst part is the promised support and mentoring is minimal at best. Now, you're no closer to closing your funding. It's amazing how many scams there are. Now let's move to number 4 on our list. Number 4, we'll feature you on TV. This is a post-funding scam that I ran into multiple times. One Friday afternoon, Adolfo, our VP marketing, told me that he'd been approached by a producer of a television show. The show, which allegedly ran on a major cable network, wanted to feature us on the show. Adolfo said the only issue is we have to pay their production costs of $30,000. I told Adolfo that didn't sound right. Fortunately, I have a close friend in the broadcast industry, so I called Steve. And he told me that you never pay for an interview. We passed on the opportunity. But doesn't it sound enticing? The scammers are playing to your ego. The crazy thing is, a year after the first group approached us, another group approached us with the identical scam. How many of these guys are there? Now, let's move to number 5 on the list. Number 5, pay-to-pitch events. There are many variations of this scam, but the basic idea is simple. We'll line up hundreds of investors for you to pitch to. Just pay us a fee of $1,995. You check their website, and you see the logos of all these well-known investors. And because you've been struggling to get investor meetings, you spend the money. It's oh so seductive. However, you can see the problem, can't you? You're parting with money for the hope that one of these investors will be interested in your startup. And that's just not how it works. Real investors don't charge to hear your pitch. Now, let's move to number 6 on the list. Number 6, the crypto or token raise advisors. The next 2 scams we'll look at are crypto related. There are too many of these scams to count when it comes to crypto. The first one to watch out for is the "we'll launch your token and get you investors" scam. Someone reaches out to you online. They say they specialize in helping startups raise money through a token sale or ICO. They promise to handle everything. All you have to do is pay a setup fee, usually between $10,000 and $50,000. It sounds like a shortcut. You think they already know investors and how to do this. Why not let them run the process? But there are no real investors. It's just a sales pitch to take your money. Worse yet, you lose credibility with real investors because all this is public. Now let's move to the second crypto scam, number 7 on our list. Number 7, the due diligence deposit scam. Crypto scam number 2 works like this. You finally meet an investor who seems serious. They tell you they want to invest a large amount of money in your startup. However, before they can release funds, you need to pay a due diligence deposit to cover background checks, escrow setup, or regulatory filings. Then you wire the money and expect the funding to follow. They send you documents that look legitimate, maybe even a fake proof of funds letter. Then delays start. They say compliance is taking longer, or their lawyers are reviewing your case. Eventually, they stop responding, and the money you paid is gone. You've been pitching for months, and finally, somebody wants to invest. The documents look professional, and you're told it's standard procedure. That's why you're vulnerable, and you fall for the scam. Now let's move to number 8 on our list. Last one. Number 8, the crowdfunding agency. We've all heard stories of people raising lots of money for various ventures using crowdfunding. So, when you're approached by an agency that will help you raise money using crowdfunding, you're an easy mark. They complete the sell by telling you they've helped startups just like you raise millions, and now you're hooked. All they need is a deposit from you of $10,000 to get started. Then, They create a slick-looking landing page, some ads, and a few social media posts. They might even upload your campaign to WeFunder. Instead, they spend a tiny portion of your money on paid traffic to make it look like people are visiting the page. They might even use fake accounts or bots to simulate interest. Within a few weeks, your campaign is live but barely raising any real money. You complain about the progress, and they ask you for even more money to help with advertising. The cycle keeps going until you stop paying. Now, if you found today's video useful, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. As you can see, there are lots of scams out there. The good news is, there's only one thing you need to know that tells you you're being scammed. If you're being asked to give somebody money for the guaranteed promise of funding, then it's very likely you're being scammed. The scammers know that fundraising is really, really hard. And the longer your fundraising takes, the more desperate and vulnerable you get. So it's normal to feel unsure who to trust when raising money. I get it. I've been there too. And that's why I built Zero to Pitch, a place where founders can get real guidance, not empty promises. It's my free community where startup CEOs like you build the first draft of their pitch and get it ready for investors. The sooner you start, the faster you will see what works and what does not work. So join today and start building your pitch. Scan the QR code to join. And if you want to fix your pitch and build a company investors will trust, watch the free 20-minute training over my left shoulder. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.